The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our webinar, Security, Simplicity, and Value, Discovering the Microsoft 365 Plan for You. I'm John Stiles, a marketing manager here at SWK, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here to our webinar. Today, I'll be joined by our solutions architect, Rachael Wade, who's going to break down Microsoft 365 to help you understand what it is and how you get the most value from your subscription. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone's been placed on mute to keep background noises down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, just look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are also recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as those who registered and were not able to attend. And then one last thing is please take a moment at the end of the presentation to answer our one question survey that we have. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business and by providing software, industry knowledge, tools, and support where you need it. So whether you're heading to doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and information through our social media channels. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And without further ado, I'm going to turn things over here to Rachael.
Thank you so much, John. Hello, and thank you for joining us for Security, Simplicity, and Value, Discovering the Microsoft 365 Plan for You. Yes, so on today's agenda, we are going to cover, what we have seen in this digital transformation. I'm going to talk about choosing the right M365 plan for you. I'm going to touch on what is Azure AD Join as well as conditional access, two important features a part of Microsoft 365. Then I'm going to touch on some other security features, the simplicity that Microsoft 365 is going to offer to you, as well as the value that it's going to bring to your business. Then finally, we're going to close off with a recap of just choosing the right Microsoft 365 plan for you. I'm going to touch on the special offer and then wrap everything up with a poll and a Q&A. Once again, I'm Rachael Wade, the Junior Solutions Architect here with SWK Technologies. I am Microsoft 365 certified, so just really excited to be going over these plans with you all today. My information is listed in the slide, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions after the webinar. A quick overview on SWK Technologies. We're a nationally recognized MSP and solution provider in North America and have nationwide coverage, leveraging over 170 employees to delight our customers and enable success. And now let's get into it. So what have we seen in this digital transformation? Over the course of the pandemic, we have seen many organizations move to remote work. And because they are moving to remote work, they are quickly adopting the cloud. And with cloud-based services like Microsoft 365, allowing users to access company files and work from anywhere in the world, most people are storing sensitive data in the cloud compared to locally on their personal computer or a company server. And because of this, businesses are needing security more than they ever have before. Even the strongest passwords are no longer strong enough in a world where hackers are constantly stealing data. Other protective measures like multi-factor authentication and conditional access must be put in place. And we are seeing our clients take these necessary steps. But because Microsoft's plans can be a little confusing, we are having to go in and right-size our customers with the correct Microsoft 365 plan for them. We're getting rid of all these a la carte options. They have this security added on and this management feature added on, and moving into what is often a more cost-effective and bundled Microsoft 365 plan. So choosing the right M365 plan. As I mentioned, we have noticed a lot of customers who have Microsoft plans with tons of add-ons that are either redundant or do not cover all of their needs. So pretty much all of the security features we are currently recommending are now all bundled in either Microsoft 365 Business Basic, Standard, or Premium. And these are the three Microsoft 365 business plans, and they're geared towards businesses with less than 300 employees. All of these plans are going to include your basic Office apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, those general applications. But let's dive into the specifics of what each of these plans offers. So if you were to go to the Microsoft website or go to Google and search for Microsoft 365 plans, you'd likely end up on a site that takes you to something that looks very similar to this slide here. And this is the marketing material for Microsoft 365. In the first column, you have your business basic offerings. The second column, you have your business standard offerings. And then in the final column, you have business premium. Now, let's go through these and just kind of point out some of the obvious differences that we're seeing here. So with business basic, you have all of your office apps. Your premium office apps are included. So, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that's all there. But it's only web and mobile versions of these applications. And so I typically am going to recommend business basic for users who are not sitting at a desk. They don't need to open up these spreadsheets and do a lot of work. They're pretty much on the go and just might need to view something really quickly. So say like a field engineer is who I'm going to recommend business basic for. And then if you go down just a little bit, you'll still see that even with business basic, you have your secure cloud services included. So you have Teams, Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, that's all there. And then we move over to business standard. And business standard has the same thing as business basic, except that it allows you to download the apps locally on your machine. So you can download Word, Excel, PowerPoint onto your desktop, onto 5 different machines actually, because you have 5 licenses to do that. You'll notice that you also get publisher and access included in business standard as well. And the secure cloud services that are included are the same. Now, finally, if we go to business premium column, you'll see that it's pretty much the same thing. And there's not too much of a difference. But if you go down to secure cloud services included, you'll notice that at the bottom, there's something called Intune and Azure Information Protection. Most of the time, customers will look at this and say, I don't know what those things are. I've never heard of them. I don't need them. So they're going to go with business standard, typically. But really, this is just the tip of the iceberg here. It seems like there's not that much of a difference between these plans, but I would like to point out just a little bit more and dig deeper on this here. So if you take a look at this screen here, you'll see that we have the same 3 columns set up as the previous one. So we have business basic, business standard, and finally business premium. At the top column, we have Office 365 in red. So that's the Office 365 suite. And you'll notice in business premium, it has more offerings than business standard and business basic. And to the left there, I pulled out a few things that are very important that come with business premium. So you get Microsoft Defender, you get data loss prevention, as well as Exchange Online archiving. As we move down the column, we're entering into what is called the Endpoint Mobility and Security Suite, EMS. Now, you'll see that Business Basic does not include EMS. Business Standard does not include EMS, but Business Premium does have EMS. And one of the important features that's in EMS is the fact that you have the Azure AD Premium Plan 1. And included in the Premium Plan 1 is multi-factor authentication and conditional access. I'll touch on these more in a little bit. Finally, when we get down to our last row here, we have Windows. Again, Business Basic does not include Windows. Microsoft Business Standard also does not include Windows, but Business Premium does. And a few of the important features that are included in this are BitLocker, as well as Azure AD and Domain Join. Now, I know there might be a little bit of confusion there because, Windows and Microsoft, aren't they the same thing? In this scenario, Windows, we're talking about the Windows 10 license. So, the ability to download that license onto your desktop is what we're looking at. So that's the difference. These are all important security features that our customers are implementing very rapidly. Because in today's environment, proper security is imperative for all businesses to operate. Now, I know I just listed off a bunch of features that you may or may not know anything about, but I would like to explain more. So, what is Azure AD Join? Azure AD Join allows you to join devices directly to Azure AD without needing to join an on-premise Active Directory. So your organizational account is signed into that device. The user is now in your Azure AD without having to manually add that user on-premise first, cutting down on that time spent provisioning. Azure AD Join is also going to reduce device-related IT costs and device management time with things like bulk enrollment. Bulk enrollment enables administrators to use a bulk provisioning tool to configure devices. Also, with management of devices with MDM or Intune. So you have mobile device management included with Azure AD Join. You should consider Azure AD Join if you want to transition to a cloud-first model with Windows. Now, this is compatible for both cloud-only and hybrid organizations. So if you still have some on-premise equipment, Azure AD Join will still be a great solution. If you want to manage devices with a cloud device management solution and you plan to modernize your application infrastructure costs, Azure AD Join is going to be the way to go. Now, I'd like to touch on conditional access, which is really important because we're in an environment where identities are stolen and emails are spoofed all the time. And that is how information is leaked. How can we know that our CEO, John Doe, is who he says he is when logging into his accounts? This is where conditional access comes in. Conditional access is at the heart of the new identity-driven control plane. It's basically a bunch of if and then statements to allow users access. So if employee A wants access to the company's CRM, then they must successfully complete multi-factor authentication to access it. So it's basically just a bunch of predetermined conditions that must be met before access is allowed. Conditional access is going to apply the right controls when needed to keep your organization secure, but it's something that runs in the background, so it doesn't constantly interfere with any of your workflows. Then I'd like to touch on some other security features as well. With Business 365 Premium, you're going to get enterprise-grade security features without paying that enterprise cost. So I mentioned previously on another slide, you have things like Microsoft Defender, Exchange Online archiving, data loss prevention, and Intune mobile device management. So, what are these things? Microsoft Defender is going to defend your organization against malicious threats. With Microsoft Defender, you get threat protection policies included. So there's some policies that are predefined, like for anti-spam, anti-malware, and you can go in and also create your own policies within the portal. You're getting real-time reporting to be able to monitor the performance of Defender for Office 365. It has threat investigation and response capabilities. So Defender is able to utilize tools to investigate, understand, simulate, and prevent threats. With Defender, you get some automation capabilities as well that will allow you to save time and effort investigating and mitigating those threats. With Exchange Online archiving, we actually have a lot of customers like law offices that need to be compliant with their client data. With Exchange Online archiving, users get what is called an auto-expanding archiving, an unlimited archiving feature. So, for example, once a user has passed the allotted capacity of their inbox, that additional storage is automatically added. So emails aren't deleted or lost because your inbox is full. Exchange Online archiving is designed to help meet the need for security, liability, and user productivity because Exchange Online assists organizations with archiving, compliance, regulatory, and e-discovery challenges. It does all of this in the cloud, so it's going to reduce that on-premise burden on your infrastructure. We also have data loss prevention. So data loss prevention assists with the unintentional sharing of sensitive information. Data loss prevention, or DLP, will examine email messages and files to see if the user is sending sensitive information like a social security number or credit card number. So data loss prevention is not only able to detect this, but it logs the event in case an audit is needed. It will display a warning to the end user who is sending the email, and then it will actively block the email or file share from even happening. It's a great security feature if you have someone spoofing internal company emails and requesting secure information like credit cards or bank statements. Finally, we have Intune mobile device management. So Intune is great because it allows you to control how your organization's devices are used, including mobile phones, tablets, and laptops. You can configure policies to control applications. Like if you don't want someone to send emails to people from outside the organization, you can have that set up. Intune gives people within your organization the ability to use their personal device for work while ensuring that your organization's data remains protected. With Intune, you have the ability to isolate organizational data from personal data on an employee's mobile device, regardless of the operating system. So it can be Windows, Mac OS, Android, and iPhones. Now, as robust and complete as the Microsoft 365 suite is, it has still remained quite simple to use. The simplicity that is provided to users through Microsoft 365 Business Premium is unmatched. Only one single admin console is needed to set up and manage all of your end user devices. So when I mentioned about Intune and managing, Mac OS, Windows, iPhones, that's all still done in the same portal. With Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you have Office apps and Windows 10 systems that are always up to date because these updates and installations are automatically rolled out. You also get features like Windows Autopilot, where your devices are configured from the cloud and ready to go right out of the box. You're able to track the configuration process of the system as it progresses, and you really get the provisioning minus the hassle, ultimately delivering a better user experience and setup for a new employee, a remote employee, if somebody has moved, any of those scenarios. And then also, not just the simplicity of using Microsoft 365, but with these new bundle plans, there's minimal add-ons. So like I said, we are, removing a lot of our customers' old legacy add-ons that people have tacked on to their business basic plans, and we're moving them to business premium, which is simplifying their licensing and billing and just kind of consolidating it into one simple bill. Now the value. Microsoft 365 brings a lot of value because it's a one-stop shop for your business applications like the Office suite with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You also get those collaboration tools like Teams and SharePoint that are included in your Microsoft 365 business plans as well. Then when we get to Microsoft 365 Business Premium, the value really skyrockets because the security capabilities that come with Microsoft Business Premium are needed within every single organization. When these features are added on individually, the total cost can come out to more or equal than the per user cost of Business Premium. And so you have to consider that with the Business Premium plan. You're getting a bundle of 3. So you get the Office suite, you get endpoint mobility and security, and Windows 10, all within one single plan. So choosing the right plan for you. There's Business Basic, which I mentioned is really intended for users who do not need local access to the Office suite. So somebody who's going to be on the go a lot. Then we have Business Standard, which is the desktop version of your apps. It is the standard version of Microsoft 365. Then there's Business Premium, which comes with endpoint mobility and security, as well as the Windows 10 licensing and other Office 365 features. It is going to really come down to the security and automation capabilities that your company needs. Today, proper security of company data is the #1 priority for every organization out there. Your password could be weak or it could be strong. It doesn't make a difference if that information is hacked and then leaked. So you have to ask these questions about your organization. Do your users need MFA, multi-factor authentication? Do you want them to have that extra level of security that is going to validate that they are who they say they are when trying to access the company's database? Do you need to implement conditional access? Do you want your users to have to meet certain conditions like multi-factor authentication or being in the proper location prior to gaining access to secure company information? Do you need endpoint device management and data encryption? If one of your employees were to lose their laptop, would you want that data on those devices to be encrypted in case it ends up in the wrong hands? The SWK Solutions Architect team recommends all these features when getting our customers set up with Microsoft 365. Those who do not have them set up typically end up needing them later on down the road. For small to medium businesses under 300 users, Business Premium is almost always going to be the right plan to keep your employees protected, keep your device management and IT workflows simple, and it will bring you the most value with Office 365 Suite, enterprise mobility and security, and Windows 10 all bundled into one single plan. And that is the conclusion of the Microsoft 365, choosing the right plan for you. I do want to mention that SWK is able to provide a helping hand if needed. We have an IT consulting and services division that can help you with any problems or requests to improve performance and security and provide any of the services you see here, such as cybersecurity, consulting and assessments, cloud hosting and migrations, etc. We are the one centralized point of support for IT, cybersecurity, and software. And thank you so much for just joining this webinar. As a special offer to registrants of this webinar, we are offering a 10% discount on our Microsoft Business Premium and a 5% discount on Microsoft Business Standard purchased via SWK. Please reach out after the webinar or let us know in the poll to get some information. And now I'll pass it back to John.
Thank you, Rachel. That was a great look at the Microsoft 365 plans. There's lots of great information packed into that presentation. Here's just a quick sample of what our survey question is going to look like at the end so that you can answer that for us. And now we're just going to open things up to questions if anybody has any. So if you do, please enter them in the questions section of GoToWebinar. We'll just give this a minute in case anything comes through. And also just a reminder to everyone that we do have a subject matter expert here, so this is a great opportunity to get your questions answered in real time. If there's anything that doesn't get answered, again, Rachel's provided her contact information, and you can always reach out to info@swktech.com to have your questions answered after this webinar. So looks like we have a couple of questions that came through, Rachel. The first one is it possible to get security features added on to a standard or basic plan?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. So that is a possibility. And as I mentioned, we do have a lot of customers who have a la carte security features added on to basic plans as well as standard plans. What ends up happening, though, is that when you add those security features on a la carte, it ends up most times being more expensive than premium, and you have less services bundled together. So that's why we typically are just going to recommend premium rather than adding those on separately. But it can be done.
Great, thanks, Rachel. One other question is, are you required to use all the security features that come in these plans?
Okay, yeah, no, you do not have to use all the security features that come with it. You can turn them on, you can deploy them later on down the road. You don't have to deploy them at all. So you don't have to use everything that I mentioned, but it is still good to have.
All right, we actually have one more that just came in. And so the question is, what types of devices can be used as a second device in an MFA authentication?
Oh yeah, you can, any device that can download the Microsoft Authenticator. So, if you have an iPhone, an Android, a tablet, if you're able to download that app in an app store for Microsoft Authenticator, you can use that.
All right, thanks, Rachel. Let's give one more second in case anything else comes in. And looks like that's what we have for questions. So again,
Okay.
Thanks, Rachel, for your informative presentation, taking the time to be here today. And thanks everyone who did attend to our webinar. Have a wonderful rest of your day.